If you would like to support the podcast and get some extra content while you're there, head on over to patreon.com/Severe MMA podcast and sign up. From the rewatch to the Q&A, we will have loads of content every week. So sign up, patreon.com/Severe MMA podcast. And now, here's the podcast. Welcome everybody. It's episode 334 of the Severe MMA podcast. My name is Sean Sheehan, aka the Pod God, Severe Shawnee Shardog, the legend, whatever you want to call me, you can call me that. Joined today by the Henry Shefflin of Irish MMA Media, Graeme McDonald, as we talk about a fucking huge week and a huge day in the world of mixed martial arts. We're recording this at 24 minutes past 12 here after the UFC, so we can kind of get a bit of Sunday off. But most people are probably listening to this on Sunday. If you're listening to it, well, everyone's listening on Sunday, but if you're listening to it during the night on Sunday or in early morning, you're on Patreon. So hello, thank you to all our Patreon people. If you would like to sign up to Patreon, patreon.com/Severe MMA podcast. I've gone full time now, so I need the money. So please sign up there. Loads of stuff going up. And on the 1st of November, when is it? This day next week or in 7 or 8 days time? The first of our Graeme's interviews even, for the 10-year anniversary of Severe MMA will be going up, and then it'll be going up every Wednesday after that for, 5 or 6 weeks. So the first one up is Owen Roddy. So that's going up. Graeme, how long did you sit down with Owen Roddy for? Maybe 50 minutes or something like that? Very good chat. I've listened to most of it so far. So yeah, that's a fantastic thing for everyone to look forward to.
Try to keep them to about 40 minutes, but most of them crept over.
Yeah, they did. But yeah, I've listened to maybe 2 or 3 of them so far myself, and they're really fun. So I can't wait for everyone to hear them. But first of all, before we get into all the MMA, attention to our listeners across the galaxy, all the way from Australia to Houston. Do we have a pube problem? If so, our friends at Manscaped have cleared you for takeoff with their 4th generation and brand new Lawnmower 4.0. Kick your pubes into the next planet with the Performance Package 4.0. The orbits in your pads will feel like you're in zero gravity when you use the best tools for the job from the leaders in grooming. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get your rocket ready for takeoff by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with the code SEVERE MMA. And ready for an out-of-this world experience, look no further than the Performance Package 4.0, which I know myself, Graeme, and you have been using the Lawnmower 4.0 for a long time now. Well, actually not a long time, only since it came out there during the year. It's available now in the US, Canada, UK, Ireland, across Europe, South Africa, Singapore, Australia, and all those places as well. So you get that 4.0, the weed whacker for your ear and nose. You get the crop preserver, crop reviver, and the boxers, as well as the travel bag. So the first thing scheduled for liftoff is the 4.0, which I mentioned. This spaceship is here to guide you on the journey to trim your body, balls, butt, and even your anus. This 4th generation trimmer also features the cutting-edge ceramic blade grooming, which stops accidents from happening, and advanced skin-safe technology. Has a 7,000 RPM motor and multifunction on-off switch, which can engage travel lock, and it's even waterproof. 4,000K LED spotlight, which you can turn on and off when it's needed for a more precise shave throughout the galaxy. Also included in the Performance Package 4.0, weed whacker for the nose and ear hair, 7,000 RPM motor power, 360 degree rotary dual blade system, proprietary skin safe technology which helps prevent nicks, snags and tugs in those delicate holes, and a crop preserver as well, ball deodorant, and the crop reviver to help get your 2 little planets on their A game while feeling the sun's heat. Manscaped also trended 2 free gifts, boxers and the shed travel bag. So a Bart Hairy Balls and Buzz Lightyear, that Woody with Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code SEVEREMMA at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code SEVEREMMA at manscaped.com for a clean trinity and beyond. Your space balls will thank you. Manscaped.com, promo code SEVEREMMA. Right, Graeme. Mixed martial arts. Do you know what? We've been kind of getting away from the events that have just happened for the last few weeks, but I think we will start with the event that just happened because I suppose the big story of this week was Paulo Costa and Marvin Vettori and the whole weight cutting debacle. Paulo Costa kind of came out and was like, oh, I'm probably not going to make weight during the week. Maybe, Tuesday, Wednesday. Marvin Vettori was like, I don't care.
Probably not going to make weight. He was just like, I'm not. Yeah, I don't care about weight at all. I'm completely unprofessional and deal with it.
Yeah, which I'll get into my thoughts in a second, but Marvin Vettori was like, "Grand, I'll fight you at 205," and Paulo Costa was like, well, look, we got 195, and then a couple of days later, I think he realised he probably wasn't going to make 195, so he said, "Do you know what? 205 sounded good to me." And fair play, in fairness to Vettori, I don't think he's a guy with loads of fans, but a few people I saw him tweeting it, I think he earned a few fans this week, and he was pretty gangster. He took the fight at 205, even though he knew he would be badly undersized. Look, to me, I thought it was one of those weeks in MMA where it wasn't like a serious week that we've had him before, McGregor and Aldo when Aldo got injured, and the Mendes fight was and we've had loads of them with John Jones with DC when the fight was called off, and this was kind of one of the ones where even if it was called off, this card was kind of, it was the one good fight on the card, so it kind of ruined it, but still, like, you're moving from one fight to no fights that people really cared about, so what's the difference, really? But I just found it all very funny, and I think it's because, like, the two of them are pretty unlikable characters. I think I've always thought it myself about Vettori especially, and as I said, maybe again a few more fans after this, but I feel like this week everyone kind of was kind of on the same boat as me. He was like, well, I don't really like either of them. But were you on that?
The thing I liked most about Vettori was in his post-fight interview, he called Costa a cunt, which I thought was great.
Oh, that's hilarious. Like, the word cunt is a great word. It's that, and I think
what a brilliant word. Some people are so offended by it, but it's a brilliant word.
He said it to Bisping as well. He's like, as you'd say, he's a cunt. So he just like put it on Bisping. I was like, I'm not saying this now. You would say this. He's a cunt. So yeah, look, I think that word as well is what, if American viewers or listeners here listening in, they're probably like, oh Jesus, they're saying the word cunt. Whereas in Ireland, it's like a very
Ireland or Australia, it's like every third word.
Yeah, and to call someone a sound cunt is like one of the nicest things you could ever say about someone. So like, yeah, he didn't use it in a friendly way here though. But I think the pre-fight for the pre-fight, were you more on like the funny side of it or the unprofessional side? Because I to be honest, I was more on the funny side. I didn't really care.
I thought it was very unprofessional, but it did all kind of add to the drama. I didn't really find it funny, but it did add something to the fight. I think it got people talking about it more, and it made it more interesting in a little way in terms of that, to see like, what Costa's going to look like, what the size difference is going to look like, how Vettori will deal with it and stuff like that. So I think it added a little dimension to it, but it is wildly unprofessional to just not bother making weight. Like,
yeah, Costa. Yeah, it is. In fairness, Costa is one of my favorite fighters in the world for just like acting as if he hasn't a clue, and just like putting like a blank expression on his face. So like, oh, what do you mean? Like, what's happened? What's going on here? And missing weight by 20 pounds.
What do you mean eye poke? Dude, that's illegal.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, I just thought it was funny. Like, Vettori didn't really seem to give a shit either, and he got an extra 20%, I'm sure, maybe a bit more, so he's probably happy enough. But yeah, look, I saw a lot of people saying, and look, I'm kind of making a laugh of it here, and it is, if this happened in most fights, I would be probably on the same side as everyone else. But a lot of people were saying, it's the same thing happened with Nick Diaz, Robbie Lawler, different sort of thing. I think Robbie Lawler was probably happy enough to go up and fight at the weight class above, and didn't make much of a difference. This one as well, it is that 20 pounds, which is a lot, or 20 pounds, which is a good bit as well, and especially when you already probably have a size advantage over a guy, and it's going to be to your advantage. So yeah, it's not something you'd want to see creeping into MMA, especially at this level. Like, if two lads come in and go, here, like I remember Peter Queally and Ryan Scope did at one time. They're like, here, we bother cutting, let's just fight at 170, I think it was, and they were like, yeah, grand, let's do it. And that's, if that happens, I'm all for that. And this fight turned out to be a great fight as well, and I think the lack of weight cuts actually helped it. But yeah, I would like if people decided to go up a weight class and fight up a weight class in a lot of different times, but maybe when it's a fight like this, which
maybe if they agree at it like a few weeks out,
or a fight like this, which is very close to a number one contender fight, if you want to put it that way. Both lads are right there or thereabouts, even though they've lost recently for the title. It probably should be at the weight where the weight class are fighting at, and the meaning it has. But yeah, however, let's get into the fight, sure. Yeah, so starting off the fight, it was one of those ones that sometimes they say things in the commentary, and I just like completely throw it out the window and don't really take or acknowledge it at all. But I kind of was agreeing with him here. I thought Costa looked very tired after about 3 minutes. And when you do fail to kind of make weight, it does have this thing about like, well, was he injured? Is he just gone in there to throw 3 minutes of heat, try to win, and then look, if I lose, I lose? And it did seem like that to me. But then he just kept going and going and going, and he won the 5th round. We'll get into all the rounds, but what were you thinking early in the fight? Were you thinking he was just going in there for the early knockout? Or in fairness, though, this is kind of the way Paulo Costa fights, but the whole weight cut coming before, it was just an odd start to this fight, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I do think, his best chance of winning was to go for the early knockout. And that's kind of what he's done historically. Obviously, maybe he's, maybe gassed out a little bit more in the El Romero fight than this fight, maybe due to having to cut more weight. But I thought Costa didn't look that bad. It was kind of how I expected the fight to go. I didn't expect him to kind of come on so strong in the 5th with all those body kicks and be so strong there. But obviously that was probably, I think people underestimate how much of a drain on the body a weight cut is, especially for somebody like Costa, who's cutting a lot of weight and is big for the weight class. So yeah, I think like even with all the benefits he got from that, which I think were plentiful, I think, he just got out worked and out pressured and out toughed by Vettori. And Costa's a tough guy, but I think Vettori is like kind of I think one of his main strengths is kind of his ability to just kind of walk forward, and even though he was taking these brutal body shots that a lot of guys would have at least kind of taken a back step from, he just pushes forward, and I think that just was too much for Costa in the end. I think the style matchup was kind of always going to be that way, but I don't know. I think both guys are definitely, at the top of the division, but there's just such a skill gap between both of them and the champion Adesanya. And
even
I don't think we saw it. Yeah, and I don't think we saw anything in the fight like that we didn't know about either guy, or that Adesanya will be looking at and thinking, oh, I'm going to have to worry about that in the rematch or anything like that. So I don't think we learned that much from the fight really, except maybe Costa can go a bit longer when he doesn't bother cutting weight. Yeah, that's probably the only thing we learned. I agree.
It's probably a fight as well which maybe we learned that Costa might be better at 205 altogether. But I think I think you made a good point there, saying it was the fight we kind of expected. But in a weird way, it was like, I was probably, if you had asked me this time last week, I would have expected a fight like this, and I predicted that Vettori would win in this sort of fashion. But then as the week went on, and as the first round went on, I was expecting a completely different fight. So, like, I feel like on second watch, this will be a fight which, and I think even during the fight, maybe in the third or fourth round, I kind of realised that we were like, and everyone online even in the commentary, we were analysing a different fight to what was actually happening, because it did look like he was getting tired, but then it did turn into a fight where Paulo Costa is kind of tired throughout the whole fight. A bit, I think the boys in the Co-Main Event podcast call it the Mark Coleman, is it the Shogun or Mark Coleman? I think it's Mark Coleman, where he just looks tired all the time, but he keeps throwing. And that certainly was Costa here. But just to quickly kind of go through the rounds, I thought the first round was very close. I know everyone kind of scored it for Vettori, and I scored it for Vettori too, but Costa was landing some shots. I know Vettori was maybe landing in more volume throughout the fight, and he was landing hard as well. But Costa, it's one of those ones where does the volume along with the hard shots make up for just the hard shots when Costa is landing slightly more hard shots? That's a lot of the time the question of judging, and sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't, and I think just about in the first round it did. In the second round then, I think it didn't, because Costa landed that big head kick, but there was also the point taken for the eye poke. Apparently Herzog had warned him in the first round. I didn't hear it, but I might have been distracted. But if he did warn him, he absolutely deserved it because his fingers
I'd say he must have warned him because he was extending his fingers a lot. It was noticeable. So it would have been kind of egregious from the referee if he hadn't have warned him.
Yeah, and it was a pretty bad one as well. We saw a few of them, and like, he
immediately kicked him in the balls as well, straight after the restart, after the eye poke, and Corey was just like, whatever.
Why would you? But that head kick before that was absolutely massive, and he almost finished him. So I thought that was enough to take the round. In the third round, I thought the third round was the first round where it kind of settled, and Marvin was getting a little bit on top. It was relatively close, but I thought the pop in Costa's shots were kind of gone a little bit here, and he did catch a second wind after it, but Marvin got on top late as well after Costa got a bit of a takedown, and he deserved to win that. And I thought in the fourth round as well, Vettori's volume won it. Costa was landing hard as well, but just not enough, and he came out in the fifth in. Costa was just landing body shot after body shot after body shot. So I had a 3-2 to Vettori with the point taken as well, but
1, 3, 4.
Yeah, I could have seen one going to Costa, and if it did, it would have been a draw with the point taken, obviously. So it was one of those rounds you go into it into the last round, and Vettori's a few points up, but it's a much closer fight, than that suggests. I thought.
He did go out and win the fifth round, and he did look to try and finish it, but his corner were telling him that he was either ahead or even or tied up going into the last round. Was very bad advice. Yeah,
I didn't realize that. Yeah, that is pretty bad advice. But yeah, it was like the cornering over the last while has not been great at all times. And I don't know. It's hard to know how you'd think Costa was ahead in this one, but. It's an odd judging fight, I think. I'd actually be interested to go back and watch it again, and maybe I'll do that before the Q&A. Because as I was watching it, I kept on thinking, like, right, think of the criteria, think of the more effective strikes. And I couldn't bring myself to give those closer rounds. The four, not really, but the first, I don't know, that first round was a big fucking round, I think. It really was. I thought it was a very, very close round, but yeah, look, overall, I just think Vettori was a little bit faster to the punch and just a little bit more skillful. And even though, like, it felt like whoever was going, the person closer to the finish at all the time throughout the fight, or at any time throughout the fight, was without a shadow of a doubt Costa. But still, Vettori was kind of winning those in between bits, and he did enough to take it in the end anyway. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good fight. It reminded me a little bit of Colby Covington versus Usman, in that it was not the fight I was expecting, but then when I kind of think back on it immediately, I think it was a better fight that maybe I gave it credit for. So, all's well and good. And Vettori moves on and climbs that 185-pound division, and maybe Costa moves up and goes to 205, or we'll see what happens next one. But I'm sure the excuses or the reasons for the weight will come out during it. But I'll be interested to see what's said and to see what happens. Before that, though, there was, not the best card in the world. We will go through it relatively quickly here. Graeme, if you've anything to say, you can kind of stop me up in the middle of it here, because we won't dwell on it too much. Grant Dawson got a draw with Ricky Glynn, who
good comeback by Ricky Glynn. Yeah. He was 2 rounds down, and he very nearly got the finish. It looked like Dawson was kind of semi-conscious at the end of the fight. He was trying to sit up, but kind of falling, and Rick Glenn was kind of pointing at him, being like, he's out. I don't think he was out, but he was, I'd say close enough to going out. So I think the 10-8 was a good scorecard in that third round, and the draw was fair. It
was very interesting into the fight, because it was Mike Beltran who was the referee, and he was looking at Dawson as he got up. And the rule is, I'm pretty sure now, but maybe people can remind me, but if you're out and you kind of can't get up on your own 2 feet at the end of the fight, it can be ruled a TKO or a submission or whatever it would be. I presume it to be a TKO at the end of that. So, he was like, I would say he was, 75% out, but he managed to get up, and cute enough, James Krause came in as he was just got up and, caught him and brought him over. And then Mike Belcher was like, oh, wait, he's up. So, very, very cute stuff from James Krause there, and safeties, man. He could have won it. A lot of people were saying 10-8 in the first as well. I just didn't think it was quite enough. He wasn't a million miles away. We look at the 3Ds. But I did think, when you look at the third round, and you look at all the shots he landed, and then he basically choked him out in the end. Like, that's effective grappling, and he almost got towards the end of the fight. So that's we talk about damage or impact. That had a big impact on the fight, and that's one of the D's and the most important D's. So I thought the 10-8 was absolutely justified there. I don't think Doug Crosby gave it, so it was definitely a 10-8. So yeah, good judging there from everyone not named Douglas Crosby. So fair play to them there. Jessica Rose Clark and Jocelyn Edwards put on a fucking boring 15 minutes. Now we're talking about Alex Casarez. Oh, what a comeback this was against Sugwoo Choi. Love a bit of Bruce Leroy. You have to. Choi hurt Casarez a few times, landed that big illegal knee. We'll be talking about illegal knee later on again. A great refereeing again here by Jason Herzog. Like, I thought it was a great night for the officials. Anyway, Jason Herzog stopped the fight on the illegal knee. Gave Casarez his time to obviously recover, went over to Choi and took away the point. It was either disqualification or a point taken, or maybe even 2 points taken, because I thought, like, if you looked at him, Casarez did wobble back pretty badly, and like, when you take away a point, it's to cover like the accumulative damage that strike has for the rest of the fight, or you could talk about it that way anyway. And I thought maybe 2 points would have been enough because he hurt him so badly there. But I think Herzog made the right choice. It's a big thing to take the 2 points. But however, it didn't fucking matter because your boy Bruce Leroy came out and he got the rear naked choke. And Bruce Leroy is one of those guys. I remember I had bet on him against Cron Gracie. I thought he was going to win, and he kind of threw away that fight. And is it since that? Let me just look at his record here. I'm pretty sure it's since that. Yeah, he's on a 5-fight winning streak since that.
Yeah, he is one of these guys who, just when you kind of are starting to get impressed by him, thinking he's turned the corner, he comes out with a stinker over the performance.
Hold on, is he the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer of the UFC? Is that what you're saying?
He's not that bad, come on.
I apologize, Alex. I didn't mean it.
What does, just on a quick aside here, what does Ole Gunnar Solskjaer think about Ferguson saying you start your best players when he never started for Man United?
Oh, I hadn't thought about that actually. That's a good point, isn't it? In fair, you have me there, you have him there. In fairness, I don't care. I want him out. Bring in anyone else. But that is a very, very fair way. He wasn't. But how could you?
Man United legend Steve Bruce is available.
Yeah, fuck it. I'd nearly take him now at this stage. I'd nearly take him. But anyway, fair play to Alex Casarez. Some of these fights in the middle I missed because I was watching Bellator, and we will get to Bellator in a second. Francisco Trinaldo won a split decision against Dwight Grant.
I thought that should have been a draw. Yeah,
there's a point taken there, wasn't there?
Point taken from Trinaldo in the third round, and I thought that should have made it a draw, but it was a split decision for Trinaldo in the end. I'd have to go back and watch it.
What happened in the fight there? Give us an old rundown of it.
Trinaldo's obviously very strong in the first round, comes out and it looks like it's going to be all his way, and Grant turns it around, and then in the third round, Trinaldo's winning the round, and obviously gets the points taken for an eye poke. There's the series of, usually eye pokes don't get points taken, but on this card, the refs were pretty quick about taking the eye poke points, which I think is actually a very good thing, because I've watched a lot of fighters spar in the gym, like thousands of rounds or hundreds of rounds, and it's very, very rare. I don't think I've ever seen an eye poke. Like, I can't remember ever seeing an eye poke in a spar. So when you're there with your friends, yeah, I do. I think a lot of them are on purpose. I think that when they're there with their friends or their sparring partners, they're being safe, or they're being a bit more reckless with the hands, because it benefits them. Like, historically, you can, like, this card is an exception. There's points being taken, but historically, you get away with all sorts of fouls. So why not do them? We've talked about it before. You're kind of like, if they're going to let you grab the fence, if they're going to let you eye poke, if they're going to let you away with a few ball shots, then why not take them?
Yeah.
What I mean? It kind of seems smart.
It's true. The first one's always free, so you might as well. Yeah.
It seems like, like if you're allowed in soccer, get away with like kicking a guy over in the box the first time when he's about to score, then you're obviously going to do it. Like,
Yeah, I was watching the Liverpool match against Atletico Madrid as well. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, it was a clear penalty. What was your man doing on the Jota there?
No, and a total aside as well. Anyone, you should watch that Juventus documentary on Netflix about the match fixing and stuff. Just on a complete aside.
Exactly. If you want to know how Ferguson won all his titles, it'll give you a good insight into that. And if you're wondering why a Manchester referee is refereeing the Manchester Liverpool game tomorrow, that might give you some insight into that too.
Do you know, I was watching that actually as well, and it was what year was it? 2006. AC Milan were actually they had points deducted as well. Did they have any big games or anything the year before that? What year was it? What year did Liverpool win the Champions League around then?
Oh, I think it was the 2004-2005 season, was it?
Yeah,
or maybe it was.
Yeah, it was the year after they got banned. Yeah,
but they were involved in trying to
match fixing crowd that were training up at halftime. Yeah, that's not.
No, it was choosing referees. I think you're changing what happened, but
yeah, they wouldn't be doing anything else.
I don't think AC Milan rigged themselves to embarrass themselves.
Just lost the best team in the world. Lost to a team with Jimmy Traore. They were training up at halftime. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant win.
Allegedly. Yeah. Anyway, I didn't see. Did you see Nick Neguramiano against Ike Villanueva? He got. I was watching Fedor at this time. He won in the first round. Gregory Rodriguez.
Yeah, it's annoying having to.
I hate
we talked about it before, but fuck's sake, you can't really watch either.
It seems like it's happening every week now. This is so stupid. Like Bellator and the UFC need to start. It's Bellator. Like Bellator, just put your card on a Friday night so we can watch it all, and then we'll watch all.
Like
the
UFC is barely on air. Like what is it? Like 5 times a year it's on early.
Yeah.
And then Bellator put one of their cards on early.
It's
just
stupid.
like, oh my God.
I don't understand. I honestly do not understand why they're doing it. Like, Bellator are also on Showtime now in America, so it's not a thing as if they're going to get better ratings than them. Like, WCW and WWF back in the day. It's just, it's not possible because Showtime is like one of these pay-per-view channel-ish, it's like BT Sports versus the BBC or something like that. It's just not going to happen, So, anyway, yeah, that's really the big thing from this. And like KSW was on as well. I think they made a mistake going at the same time as well. But even, I don't mind them so much because if they had gone earlier and then the UFC or Bellator was later, I think that's actually a good thing for them and a good thing for Cage Warriors as well. But, yeah, when Bellator, or like, it's Bellator's fault. Why are Bellator going at the same time as the UFC? It's just so, and this is like 3 events in a row now they've done this. And it's literally doing nothing but taking viewers away from your product. It is the stupidest thing you could do. And I think Bellator have done a lot of good things over the last while, and I like their product. I've been doing the Bellator previews in Sherdog, and I think they have some good prospects coming through like they have had for the last few years. But, it's just utter stupidity. Real utter stupidity. But anyway, we'll get back to this card. Gregory Rodriguez got a beautiful comeback win against Jung Young Park. That was probably fight of the night, maybe knockout of the night. Then Mason Jones. What do you think of Mason Jones, Graeme? I thought, look, for me, and I tweeted out, Mason Jones is a guy who kind of dominates long periods of the fight. But every shot he takes, it feels like he has to land about 5 to get a similar sort of impact because he has an unbelievable chin and he takes shots really, really well. But the effect it has on him, his face is always reddening up and a bit of blood coming and it knocks his head back. And it's not that he has it's the opposite, in fact. Not that he's a bad chin, he's a good chin and is well able to absorb a shot.
Yeah, but you can really notice. Yeah, you can really notice when he takes it. Some guys are just like that. I don't know. I think maybe like a bit of paler skin and a bit of, just natural reaction. Some guys can just kind of look like they can get hit clean and you're thinking, oh, did that hit the shoulder? Because they didn't react. You know what I mean? But then you have other guys like Phil Davis who shell up, or guys like Mason Jones who it is noticeable, and that's going to cost you like in really close rounds when when a judge isn't sure if you landed on the other guy because he's taken it very well and he's sure that you've been landed on because you've kind of shown the effects of the shot. Then that may come back to haunt him. Obviously he's won here and he won unanimously, but I think obviously there's going to be higher caliber opponents he's going to face in his future, and I think although he's a very, very good prospect, he does have a lot of things to work on, and that's normal. Obviously he's just come into the UFC recently from Cage Warriors, where he isn't exactly an experienced veteran of Cage Warriors. He's kind of still young in his career, so there's definitely a lot of potential there. But as you said, there definitely is some things he can work on, and kind of, I don't know if that's the thing he can work on, if that's a natural reaction.
Do you know what I think might help it? And he did it at one stage here. He kind of went for a takedown in the middle of the exchanges. And I think that's a thing that might help him. Land your shots and then get that fucking takedown or push him against the cage. Land your shots again, change things up. We're always advocating for kind of that, changing things up. Even if you just go for a takedown and take them out of their rhythm, I really think that can help. But yeah, like it's like just some certain lads with long hair and they get hit and the hair goes flying back. It makes it look so.
Well, it was like, it's like when you have I think Gunnar Nelson had a mullet for the George Santiago fight. Was it that fight? Yeah, and there was loads of shots where he just dodged them by pulling back, but it looked like because the hair flew that he got hit, or when he got hit slightly, it looked like he got hit heavier because the hair's flying. So yeah, you definitely want to keep that hair tight.
And Mason Jones even didn't have long hair. It's just his hater, though. I don't know. He's like a wobbly hater. I don't know what it is with it, but
wobbly head.
Mason Jones wobbly head. Anyway, Tabata Ricci, I thought she looked good against Maria Oliveira. Won the unanimous decision. Jamie Pickett and Strapoli, nothing to write home about in that one. Joy Herbert, though, another guy who looked very, very good in this, and got the beautiful KO against Cam Ordy. And felt like
combination there, barrage at the end there, and Joy Herbert's a guy we've been watching for years, and he's really kind of Worthy is like a pretty good opponent. Like this fight could have went either way in my opinion. Like coming into it, I would have picked Joy Herbert, but I wouldn't have been too confident. But he kind of really seized the moment when he heard him, and it's great to see him doing well there. He's obviously we've seen him how it can go with one of his previous opponents, Rhys McKee, if you kind of get thrown in there and the wrong circumstances, how badly it can go. And with Joy Herbert, it's kind of turned around, and hopefully Rhys McKee and other guys that it hasn't worked out for too well can get back in there and get a kind of fair crack of the whip.
Yeah, I look, it's happened to lots. It happened to Mason Jones as well, and it's Nathaniel Wood and a few of the lads that have come in now have got very tough matchups. So yeah, I know a few people are saying, oh, it's Rhys McKee started. It really hasn't. We've been talking about this for probably 18 months.
Duke and Waugh, when he came in, obviously he was an uber prospect, but we were like, maybe they could match him up a little better here.
I think it's since Conor. I think Conor kind of shocked him with the level that came, and then the other lads that kind of came after him as well. I don't know. Yeah, it was weird. But anyway, Joy Herbert was really good here, and a beautiful finish, and beautiful finish as well for Jeff Molina. Straight right down the middle, beautiful stuff. Altogether, Randa Marcos got her usual unanimous decision win, moves to 11-11. But I've a soft spot for Randa Marcos. I think she's a good fighter. Jonathan Martinez as well moved to 14-4 with his win there. So let's pop to Bellator here. And talk about that as well, and we'll get tonight's. Actually, before we get to Bellator, KSW was on tonight as well, and Pudzianowski absolutely slept Bombardier, who got a beautiful picture with Sean Denny during the week. A beautiful knockout after, what was it, 16 seconds or something like that? You see that online, Graeme? Is absolutely brilliant. So, Pudzianowski's put together a pretty good career, and they faced
He's
off.
Come a long way since going purple after about 2 minutes and nearly falling over.
Yeah, well, it didn't go this far, so maybe he hasn't. It only went like about 18 seconds. So, yeah, they faced off Saldic and Mehmet Khalidov as well, and that's going to happen around the middle of December. So that's a fucking fun fight, and I cannot wait for that. I know I said it a couple of months ago, it's one of the best fights you can put on outside of the UFC, so I'm really, really looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to catching up on KSW. Sean Denny was over there. He said it was a great card. So yeah, I'm looking forward to catching up on that. But I did see the main event, and as always, it was fun. But the Bellator, on the undercard, Aiden Lee got a gun rear naked choke win there. There was a few fights fell out, I think. The Shurovic fight against Bosnian fell out. And another one as well. Where is it here? Oh no, that fight didn't fall out. Sorry, actually, Shurovic won that fight by ground and pound in the first round. Irina Alexeyeva as well won unanimous decision.
Koreshkov was meant to fight Happy Love.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, and that fight fell out. But a couple of fights fell out over the last couple of days. But anyway, we'll get back to Brian Moore obviously in a second. And that fight, Katarzyna Shidora beat Darina Madzucic, and she was the one who fought like that big fat lad who was about 50 stone last year. I will obviously preview this card, and watching a bit of her, she's not the best fighter in the world. I wasn't surprised to see her lose here. Kirill Slidnikov then knocked out Rab Truesdale. Anatoly Tokov, I'm surprised he didn't get the knockout, but he did get the win. It was a split decision. It was a good fight against Sharaf Dalatmoradov. Usman Nurmagomedov got the submission as predicted by yours truly, nearly 6-1. Pailetta just a complete.
I don't know if it was predicted. It was kind of suggested it could be worth at that price.
Yeah, it was. I had a bad betting week this time. I got 1 out of 4, and I've 1 left as well. But he got a good win over Pitila. It was just easy. And then the other 3 fights, Soma versus Vitaly Minikov first. I don't know if you saw this. It was kind of Minikov won the first round, the second round was close, and then Minikov got his finger stuck in his glove.
And tried to call like a timeout basically, and you just can't do that.
At that stage, right? So Brian Minor was the referee. What's he supposed to do at that stage? He can't just say, "Oh look, the glove it's stuck in the glove. I'll give you a timeout. Let's get it free." He's thinking like, "Oh, this guy's finger's broken." Like everyone watching was. He can't continue. He's trying to free it up. I have to end this fight. He's not going to intelligently defend himself, which I think was the right decision at the time. And then watching it back like 10 seconds later, I think everyone's like, fuck, I was, when he took out the finger, and look, maybe the finger was actually dislocated and he put it back in to, in which case it was the right decision the whole way around. I do think it was the right decision still, but it was one of those ones where I think Brian Minor was absolutely correct. I don't think anyone would criticize him here, but it was a little bit unfortunate. What did you think of it?
Yeah, it's unsatisfying, but I thought that it was either broken or dislocated, and
me too.
I think now it probably was dislocated, and he pulled it back into place and just said, "Here, I can go." But you can't just take a break and fix yourself.
Yeah. When you make that decision,
time out. I need to fix something here. Yeah, you can't just do that.
There might have been a bit of a language barrier as well there. I'd say I don't know how good Brian Minor's Russian is, but yeah. But I thought he looked better here in this fight than he has. I watched a bit of him, and he's a good fighter and he's a bad fighter in the same. He just waits and waits and waits and waits. And when
he's still inexperienced, I suppose.
Yeah,
as well.
He is. But when he fights, he's very good. But I feel like he doesn't fight enough. But this will bring him on obviously into Quinder and have a few minutes with Minikov. What was it, 13 minutes or so? Pretty good. And maybe they can put on the rematch. I wouldn't mind seeing that again. But we'll get to Fedor after we talk about Brian Moore. Obviously, if anyone didn't see the Brian Moore fight, it was a tough matchup against a tough Russian in Nikita Mikhailov. So the fight started and Mikhailov immediately kind of got a takedown. It was Moore went for the guillotine, went for an inverted triangle. But Mikhailov landed some big ground and pound in, and he caught him with an elbow. In round 2, there was a takedown immediately. And I think it was a shot at the end of the first round that really hurt Brian Moore, and he just stopped moving in his normal way. Then after that, he stopped defending in the right way. He almost got up at one stage towards the end of the second, but he couldn't break the grip, and he ended up getting suplexed, and he just really wasn't making the right decisions. It started third. Mikhailov almost got the Sulawev stretch, but Moore ended up on the back. He almost got the rear naked choke, and then he was at the back for a good bit and for ages. And I felt like at the start of the third, Moore started doing the right things again. He kind of get his legs back under him or his head back together, and he started making the right decisions. Okay, he did get taken out and stuff, but almost had that rear naked choke and that arm bar towards the end. Literally, if there was another 10 seconds, I think the fight would have been over. Brian Moore would have won it. So, lost 29-28, but was literally on the verge of winning as the fight ended. Great comeback from Brian Moore, but just not enough in the end, Graeme.
Yeah, it was good to see him go for the armbar. Obviously it's a low percentage submission and you risk losing the position, but time was, against him, and he was 2 rounds down, so you might as well go for it when you've been fishing for the rear naked choke for 2 or 3 minutes and you haven't been able to get it. You've kind of, he had one kind of, I think about 30 seconds after he took the back and put the body triangle, and he had kind of his best chance at the rear naked choke. And once he hadn't got that, once the guy doesn't get the first one, you kind of, it's less likely he's going to get the next one. So I think it was a good decision to go to the armbar. Obviously, he knew he was in a position where he needed to, make something happen. I think he, as you said, I think he was very close to it. Like when he didn't have the arm outstretched, but I think he was 2 or 3 seconds away from outstretching the arm, and probably 10 seconds or 15 seconds away from getting the tap. Or, maybe, he might have lost the position, he might have escaped, but it was definitely, a good fight back from Brian. But, in the end, I think the 29-28 was pretty clear.
Yeah, like, I would agree with all that. Like, it's one of those ones where we talked about it last week, and, Bellator sending Brian Moore over to a fight in Russia 2 weeks before they have an Irish card against a guy in his Bellator debut. Like, fair enough if this was the number 13 ranked, or well, what is it, top 10, the number 8 ranked or number 9 ranked guy, and if he wanted to be in the top 10, it'd make sense. But, like, this made little sense. Fair play to Brian Moore for taking the fight, but I don't know. It just felt like the Kiefer Crosby last fight before they cut him, and I hope to God they don't cut Brian Moore, because I think he deserves to be in Bellator and earning some good money and things like that. And even if they did, I think Brian Moore would probably get to the UFC if we wanted to get there, because I think he's that good. And I don't know.
That's his first loss at 135, is it?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
So I'd be very surprised if they cut him. But yeah, it was we kind of mentioned on last week in the podcast, it was a strange matchup, strange positioning on the card, and strange card for him to be on with the Irish card. Everything about it was strange.
Yeah, it was very odd. But look, another good performance in the third round anyway from Brian Moore. Good comeback. But the first 2 rounds, obviously with that takedown, like Mikhailov, watching him, all the tape I could find of Mikhailov was a striker. And I mentioned on one of the podcasts last week that, when you're coming from the gym, he's coming from over in Russia, there's no doubt you have good wrestling too, and he's going to throw that in. So I'm sure Brian Moore was aware of that, but maybe he thought there would have been a little bit more striking, but Mikhailov was having none of that, and he had a smart game plan. Look, he looks like a good prospect as well, because you're not a good prospect, or you're not a bad fighter or not a bad prospect if you go in there and beat Brian Moore, and he's definitely one to keep an eye on going forward. But I hope Moore gets another shot, and I hope he gets a couple more big fights, because he's put in the work and he really, really deserves it. So it was a fun fight, a fun fight overall. And then Fedor Milanenko in the main event,
the grand retirement fight.
Although he unretired,
looking forward to his next one.
He unretired before he even retired during the week here. So he went in there against Tim Johnson, and this fight kind of went as predicted. I said someone to get knocked out in the first 4 minutes. It only took 100 seconds for Fedor to get the knockout with the big right hand. 3-piece, I saw people calling it. Tim Johnson, like, the one thing
Tim Johnson just kind of walked into it. I don't know what he was doing.
But Tim Johnson, he will exchange with you. He will give you chances. It just felt like if he could have weathered a little bit of the storm and not gone for absolutely every counter, which he always does, he probably could have won this. But I still thought he'd have enough, and I picked Tim Johnson. I won't deny it. I know it was a close fight, but Fedor looked very fit. I thought he looked as fit as he had looked in a good while. Looked trim, and there was a big difference in the weights, I think they were saying on the commentary. But after a win like that, looking as good as that, quick finish, very hard to see Fedor retiring. Although it'd be a great time for him to retire in Russia, but he didn't take off his gloves and didn't make any speech or anything. But I thought he looked good. What do you think?
Yeah, like he went in there and got the job done quick in kind of vintage Fedor style. He's, as you said, there's obviously a discrepancy in the weight, but that's always been the case with Fedor, and he's just kind of used his quickness and his right hand, his right hook over the years, and you'd think Tim Johnson will be ready for it, but he didn't seem to be. So as you said, I think somebody was going down early, and I probably would have lent Fedor winning the fight. But obviously, we've seen him take some shots that he used to be able to take with no problem, and have big problems with them. Thinking even a few years ago in the Matt Mitrione fight and things like that. So like when you're fighting big guys who are heavier than you, especially when you're maybe not as orange chinned as before and you're getting on in years, there's always that risk. But for Fedor, it's a good win. It's obviously it's Tim Johnson. It's not a world beater or anything, but for for a guy of his age at the kind of end of his career, it's good to see him go in and get the win. It would have been probably a little bit sad if he had went in there and got knocked out in a minute or two by Tim Johnson.
I think that's why it'd be the perfect time to kind of leave it, but I don't think he will. I think the Josh Barnett fight is still there, maybe Junior Dos Santos. There's probably a few fights there for him. Even Jake Hager coming up.
Do you think Donald Trump is still interested in putting that fight together?
Maybe. He could be. But anyway, right, before we get to UFC 267, we must tell you we have an offer for our friends over the US and Canada, and with sports betting season in full force. I think the NBA season has just started. The NHL is going on. Hockey is coming back soon and all of that. And you need a sportsbook with integrity and longevity like BETUS. You may already know this, but BETUS has been pioneers in the sportsbook industry for almost 3 decades, thriving and paying their loyal customer base. That is BETUS.com, BETUS.com, and they have loads of bonuses. Join now or call 800-69-BETUS. That is 800-MY-BETUS, and you'll receive 125% sign up by using the code SEVEREMMA. They have re-up and referral bonuses also. BETUS is known as America's favourite sportsbook for a reason. BETUS is all your NBA and NHL games with team and player props, loads of NFL fixtures, NFL odds. You can keep up with the UFC, Bellator. They have loads of props on all of your big MMA events, golf and the whole lot like that, casino, everything you want. They have it. They have every bet type imaginable, and the Sharp Bet US mobile platform is easy with full betting options. Follow my lead and get your phone online and social sports betting partner with integrity and longevity like I did. BETUS, you bet, you win, you get paid. So go to use the promo code SEVEREMMA. Get 120% sign up bonus when you join on BETUS. Check them out. Right, Graeme, let's talk a little bit about Bellator, or UFC 267, which is coming up next week. And actually, we have a big PFL card as well. Let me just quickly run through that before we get to that one, because that's coming up on, I think it's Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, but we'll check that out anyway. I am doing a preview for this for sure, dog, so we won't get into it too much. But there's some very, very good fights on this. Top in the card is Kayla Harrison against Taylor Guardado. I don't think that'll be much of an effort for her. But Magomed Karimov is rematching with Ray Cooper, Clarissa Shields. It's a bit of a tough fight, I think, against Abigail Montez. Mavlid Kabulev, who beat Brendan Loughlin, is fighting Chris Wade for the 145 belt. Capiloza in the heavyweight division against Anton Deja. Antonio Carlos Jr. for the 205-pound strap against Denmark's Martin Hamlin. And then Raik Labazov for 155-pound belt against Rosh Maffeo, or Haush Maffeo even. And then there's debuts for Julia Budd, Omari Akhmedov, and Don Madge in the PFL as well. It's a fantastic card, Graeme, all the way up and down. Who you looking forward to seeing? What title are you looking forward to seeing on the line?
Kayla Harrison, your girl, I think, is obviously the main attraction. Even though we're probably expecting a pretty smooth sailing victory, but it's always interesting to see, because when you got such a kind of hot prospect, an up and comer, she's kind of had it all her own way, and there isn't really much competition for her, but you do learn a little bit every fight, and you never know which fight she's gonna run into some adversity. And I think she's probably gonna do what she always does and have her own way and run through her opponents in PFL. But I think she's definitely the most interesting fighter on the card.
I would agree with that. I think I don't think Guardado, from what I've looked at her, doesn't bring much. She's a good wrestler, but her wrestling is not going to do anything against Kayla Harrison. I don't think she's just going to get thrown to the ground. I think a big issue for a lot of people fighting Kayla Harrison is their inability to stop her breaking that distance to come in. And just nobody is athletic enough or good enough to do it, and I don't see anything in Guardado that suggests she is either. So that's a big issue. But I think fight at night will probably be Magomed Karimov against Ray Cooper. I think Magomed Karimov will take him down, but Cooper will make it hard, and he will try to wrestle with him, and he will stop a few takedowns and land some big shots. So that's going to be fun. It really is. going to be fun. And like the standout person for me watching tape on this is Capiloza, the heavyweight out of Brazil. He reminds me of like a young Junior Dos Santos. He just throws a lot of big shots and a hard hitter. And Anton Deja coming from Croatia, you would think he would be a kickboxer. He is a kickboxer, but he likes a few takedowns as well, and I think he will be trying to take him down. But I can't say his name, but like Radzabov in the 155 pounds, this guy is a fucking an animal. He reminds me a little bit of Justin Gaethje. He just comes out and he gets hit as many times as he fucking hits, and he doesn't give a shit, and he just goes full forward. So it's actually a really, really good PFL finale card. So I think it's free on YouTube. So if you're tuning in it's on Wednesday actually, and I will have a post show on that as well on Sherdog. So yeah, that should be fun. And check out my preview for it during the week as well. But
and if you have 25 grand and want to win €1, you can put money on Kayla Harris.
Yeah. That'd be the way to do it. That's probably actually worth taking. I think she's probably worth more than that. But anyway, right. Let's get into UFC 267. This is what a card this is. This is absolutely fantastic, and it's an early one for us as well. We're going to we will have the betting show on Friday. I'll have 2 betting shows this week because we're sponsored by BETUS for the next couple of betting shows, so that'll be fantastic. And then there's another UFC 268 the week after, and we'll have 2 podcasts next week for that. So we'll have a post show from 267, and then maybe Monday or Tuesday we'll have the pre-show for UFC 268. So I don't know if there'll be a Q&A or not next week. We'll decide then, but we will have 2 shows next week, so everyone look forward to that. And all the rest of the, I will be above in Dublin for Bellator as well, but that's in like 10 days or 2 weeks time. So we have a busy period coming up. So sign up patreon.com/SevereBell You get all early access and everything there. But first of all, anyway, we won't get too far ahead of ourselves. UFC 267, like even from the bottom up, there is some fantastic stuff on this. Makwan Amirkhani against Lerone Murphy. I'm a huge fan of Lerone Murphy. I think this guy is the most underrated prospect coming out of the UFC in Ireland. 10-0-1. I think he'll beat Amirkhani, to be honest. And I think I like Amirkhani. He's a good test for him at this stage of his career. That's a really, really fun fight. Aleckie Zaleski is a fun fighter. He's fighting an 8-0 guy out of France. He's the number 1 rated here. I'm looking at in Topology, Benoit Saint-Denis. So that should be fun. Roman Kapilov as well. He really impressed last time out fighting Albert Durev. And there's lots of Russians, and Amanda Hebas is on this card as well against Virna Jandiroba, who's been really, really good in her last few fights. Zubiria Tuhugov. I hope Artem isn't there. He's fighting Ricardo Hamos. Didn't we get to the main card? Ankalaev versus Ozdemir. What a fight that is. What a fight. Li Jiangliang versus Hamza Shimaev. The prospect is finally back after a long battle with COVID. Let's start with that one, Graeme. What do you think of that fight? Because that is no easy fight to come back after a long period out with a very, very serious bout of COVID. That's a big matchup for Hamza, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's hard to know. You kind of know. We've heard of athletes. You can be in the best shape you've ever been in. You get this COVID, and some people are fine within 2 days. Some people it goes on for months, and we don't really know the extent of it with Shimaev. But it seems to be pretty bad. It kept him out for a long time, and he's a guy who likes to keep active and talks about how he wants to. When he was winning his UFC debut and his first few fights, he was talking about how he wanted to stay active and kind of work his way to the top of the division. So, I'm thinking this was a pretty serious, reaction to COVID, and it'd be interesting to see if he's actually over it. But if he's over the COVID and it's just a layoff and the kind of setback, I think he should win this fight pretty handily. But there definitely is extra questions around this fight, and it is a difficult opponent to come back to, as you said, if there is some kind of lingering issues still going on with the COVID. But I probably think that he's kind of taking the time to get over it if he's been out for this long, and that he's back to what he was before. And if I was a betting man, which I am, I'd go for Shimaev, and we might not get odds this good again on him until he fights.
What price is he?
Championship level, or I'm actually not sure what price he is, but I looked at it before. I think he's.
I'll pull it up here.
Pull it up here. 1 second.
Best fight odds. Shemaev. Oh, they still have tonight's ones up. Jeez, we'll bet on them quick. We'll say that and we'll bet them.
He's minus 400. What's that in euros?
Oh, that's a big favourite. So you have to bet 400 to win 100.
Ah, okay, so, no, okay. Well, yeah, 4-1 on. Like, yeah, like if you're putting an accumulator together, that might be a good one to add to it.
Yeah, I don't know. What price is Xinjiang plus 330? I'd be betting at Xinjiang at that price, to be honest. Like, Shemaev seemed to have it really badly. He was talking about retiring and everything, and fucking what's his name, Kadarov came out and said, "Oh, he won't be retiring." And I was like, "Well, fucking guess I won't be retiring." So, I don't know, was that a fucking threat or a request to not retire? So, yeah, I don't know. It's I definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, wouldn't be backing Hamzat at minus 400, or I'm looking at minus 450 in some places, without definitely not backing him at that price anyway. But I think that's a good fight, because Xinjiang is a good fighter, and he will make it tough and make it rough. He won't make that easy for one fucking second throughout that fight. So that's going to be a banger. But anyway, look, I'm looking forward to that, and I know everyone is as well.
I think though, Shemaev, like, I know we haven't seen much of him. Like, when we've seen him, it's been quick, but he looks to have sharp hands, and he is very good. Looks to be quick, and his takedowns are very efficient, and once he's on top, we've seen what he can do. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't be betting against him anyway.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Alexander Volkov, then Marcin Tybura, big fight, kind of the mid-level of the heavyweight division there. Islam Makhachev versus Dan Hooker. A lot of people are kind of, okay, Dan Hooker, he's an absolute gangster for taking this after only fighting a couple of weeks ago, and Makhachev was looking for someone. I don't think it'll go that well for him, though, to be honest. I do think Makhachev will just be able to kind of take him down whenever he wants and dominate this fight. But if Hooker can stop a couple of takedowns or even survive for the first couple of rounds, wear Makhachev out a little bit and maybe, come on. No, I don't think so either. No, I'm just talking it up here. I'm just
gonna get. Yeah. He's gonna get wrestle fucked. Yeah.
He is anyway. Then we've Petr Yan against Corey Sandhagen, and this is a fight. Oh my God, I'm really looking forward to this. Do you know what? This is the sort of fight I need to think about a little more during the week, to be honest, because it just came up there and I was like, okay, so what?
I don't know.
No? You don't think so?
I think I'd be very confident Petr Yan here. I know Sandhagen.
Yeah, I would too, but I think as a fight though, a fun fight.
Oh yeah. It's expected to be. Sorry, I thought you weren't sure who was going to win.
No, yeah, I'll definitely pick Yan. But like, I do think Sandhagen poses some problems because, like, Yan is the type of guy who tries to walk you down and tries to land those big left hooks coming in and make it tasty in the clinch. But like Sandhagen does as well. He likes to throw little elbows inside and make it tough and throw those knees coming in. And I don't know. I don't think by any means this will be an easy win of Yan for Yan. I think this will probably be the toughest fight of Yan's UFC career so far. I know he fought Magomedov, wasn't it? Is that his name? There's so many Magomedovs, and he lost to him, but fought and won the rematch. But this is this is a tough fight, and Aljamain Sterling falling out, it's almost a better fight, I think, even though Sandhagen lost to Dillashaw. It was kind of an odd one. A lot of people thought he won that fight. It was a very close fight, obviously, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And the main event as well, Glover Teixeira versus Jan Blachowicz. I feel like Glover and Yan are two of the most underrated guys in the UFC. We've been talking up Glover Teixeira now for what feels like years. How
and I've been picking against Jan for what seems like years.
Yeah. As well. Who are you gonna pick this time? Is it Glover again? Are you going for him?
To be honest, like, I've picked against Yan so many times that, like, if I just keep picking against him, surely sometime I'll be correct.
He'll eventually be right.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
He'll retire on.
I'd love to see Glover do it as well. To be honest, like, I'm glad he's getting his shot, and he's been so underrated. And we've talked him up. We've picked him in fights he's been big underdogs in over the years a lot of times, and we've always kind of championed him, as you say, but. I think he is the underdog in here, but he could get it done. He has met his victory here, and I have a sneaky feeling he might get it done, to be honest.
Yeah, I kind of have a sneaky feeling for Blachowicz, to be honest. I just think, I think Glover Teixeira is one of the most underrated wrestlers in the UFC. Never mind the division, but Jan Blachowicz is a very, very good wrestler as well. As we saw against Izzy, and he's striking. I think he's a little bit better of a technical striker than Glover, and he hits hard as well.
Glover has slowed down a little bit as well, in fairness. Yeah,
but Glover hits hard as well, and he's a good striker. But I think it will turn into a boxing match or a kickboxing match, because I don't see many takedowns in this. Now maybe there will be, if someone is hurt or if someone just decides to change levels in the middle of it. Both guys have the ability to take the other guy down. I think maybe especially Blachowicz, and it's usually the opposite when I talk about Glover Teixeira, and everyone knows that. If you ever listen to me analyse a Glover fight, I'm always talking about Glover's takedowns because it's so good, but I just think Blachowicz will be a little bit too strong, and yeah, I give Blachowicz a little bit of the advantage in the wrestling and a little bit of the advantage in the striking, so I have to pick him to win. As much as Glover Teixeira is kind of team sheeted and a big favourite of mine for years, Sean Denny will be happy, but I'm probably just picking Blachowicz to win this. But I think what this will be is 5 rounds of a titanic battle. I really do. I think it's going to be a fucking brilliant fight. And there's going to be lots of brilliant fights, honestly, on this card. I'm really, really looking forward to it. And I can't wait to see it. And we'll be talking more about it before it happens and after it happens as well. So yeah, one last thing actually before we go. The Cage Legacy last week, we kind of mentioned it. The full results are up on severemma.com now. There were some big wins for Max Lally out of SBG Nace. I know a lot of people were talking about that. Lewis Byrne got a good win. Troy Gibson, Aaron Connolly, Rory Burke, Taylor Quinn. All the results up. A few of the Phantom lads got wins there as well. Conor Nolan out of C-Mac. Aidan O'Boyle, Josh Sampson, Adam Herzig, who's been around for a good while now and fighting a good while as well. And there was a few of the cadet fights on this as well. But the one fight that had a big controversy after it was the Nuaris Baraska fight against Darren O'Brien. Baraska is fighting out of Tiger Muay Thai apparently, but he was fighting Team Torres' Darren O'Brien. And I was actually sick during the week, so I wasn't kind of right in with the whole thing. But a few people asked me a few questions about it, and I looked at the footage. There's one very slow-mo replay of it. So what happened was a guy got kicked on his way up from being on the ground, basically. Head kicked, knocked out, kind of knocked down, but then KO'd, and immediately stopped by the referee afterwards. It was ruled at the time a disqualification for a grounded kick. And to be honest, when I looked at it first, I was like, oh shit, it was. So I think Dec Larkin was the referee who's been refereeing for a long time. Absolutely no mistake from him in any way, shape or form. It was the right call for everyone in there. But then they showed the replay and showed it kind of from the back in real ultra slow motion. It was up on Facebook, and it was from that. It was a fair blow. It was a head kick win. He had only the soles of his feet on the ground. So I think Cage Legacy, along with the Irish Mixed Martial Arts Association, overturned it. So MMAA tweeted, "The decision has been made to overrule the DQ decision at the Cage Legacy event. This was an extremely difficult call to make in the moment, but following a review of the footage, it has been declared a victory by KO." In my opinion, the right thing was done. I think the referee made the wrong call at the time. The wrong call in retrospect, but not the wrong call at the time, if you know what I mean. I couldn't
in the footage, and I didn't see the full footage. The footage I saw, we couldn't see if he was actually knocked out or not. You could just see it landing and kind of reacting.
Well, he got knocked down hard and then finished.
Did he have the chance to kind of come back, or was it just stopped then and there?
No, it was stopped at the right time. Yeah, no, there was no chance.
So it was a TKO.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because in real time it did look, that was borderline, and you kind of like, I need to see a replay on that one. But obviously the ref doesn't get a replay, and obviously Dec Larkin's there in the heat of the moment. But I kind of, maybe it's because I kind of would want, I'd want the rules to be changed where you could soccer kick knee and downward elbow, 12-6, all that stuff. I think you bring that in and people will fighters will change their game to, avoid that. And I think he should be able to do that. But as the rules are at the moment, you're obviously not. But I think the ref, obviously this is a really close one and it's hard to call in the moment, but ideally the ref should not disqualify somebody unless they are sure that something illegal has happened. If they're not sure, I think the benefit of the doubt should be allowed.
Yeah, but like,
and you can't be sure of something that didn't happen.
Yeah, but that's fair. But also, it was so quick that from the angle as well, it looks like it did. Like it's from the angle behind the fight that you can quite obviously see he's not grounded. From the other angle, it could look like he's grounded. Like there is a perspective to it as well, Graeme. It's not just
I know, but you know, fair play to the Irish what is it?
Association.
Yeah, because you know we've seen how hard it can be, even if the video evidence is in your favor and shows that a wrong decision was made against you. Usually, in MMA, no matter what the evidence is and how strong a case is, you're just wasting your time. Mm-hmm. So fair play to them for overturning it, you know, straight away and getting the right result in the end. But I would like to, you know, maybe if something like that happens and the ref isn't sure, it can be like a no contest or something if there's no video replay. But it's good to see that they got the right decision in the end. And, you know, I suppose, you know, they were kind of lucky that the footage kind of showed it, because, you know, we've been at loads of Irish MMA shows where, you know, there might be one camera recording and it's on the wrong side and you don't see it, or there's a pillar in front, or, you know, the ref's in front of you or something as well, and you can't actually get the footage, and it would have been very unfair for a guy who won by KO to end up with a loss on his record. So
yeah, I just think the biggest question for me coming out of this is like, do the IWMAA have the authority to overturn this? And you know what? I'm glad they did, and I'm glad that they're taking this on as a ruling they should make, because hopefully in the future that's what we will have, you know. But at the moment, who are the IWMAA, right? They're like, they're not. They have nothing in law. They're no.
Well, did they
governing
consult
body.
with Cage Legacy, and Cage Legacy made the decision, or what was
no, I think Cage Legacy consulted with them, and they made the decision more than anything. But yeah, look, and you know, it was Derek Hickey who was the guy who's the referee who's done a lot of IMAF competitions and stuff, and he's the guy kind of over that at the moment, the guy running the IWMAA in terms of the officiating part of it anyway. And I think he made the final decision together with the rest of them. But yeah, I don't know. I'm happy with what happened, but my biggest question would be, can we get to a stage where this is actually like a real thing that could stand up in like a court of law? Now, it's not going to go there, I don't think, but you know what I mean? Like, we want this to be official. We want this to be an actual thing that is, you know, going to stand up for everyone. So it's a weird situation that we've been, how long has it been now since the death of Joe Carvalho? 4 or 5 years? And we're still in a situation where the IWMAA has barely gone nowhere and done nothing, you know, so it's, although they have done something, so I take it back. They have done something here, and they made the right decision, the right call. So I'm glad they did it. But yeah, it's maybe it's a conversation we have every so often when something pops up. And I think was it Ian interviewed one of the guys from it a while back, and he asked him the questions, and they're like, "Oh, we're doing stuff and we're moving," but like nothing ever seems to happen. And I don't know, we hear nothing from John Kavanagh or any. I don't know what the fuck has gone on, to be honest. But look, events are coming back now anyway, so maybe it doesn't make any difference, but I don't know. Right, have we talked about everything, Graeme? I feel like we've packed an awful lot into our 1 hour and 8 minutes here. Have we anything left to talk about?
Prediction for the Liverpool Man United game.
Don't do that to me. 4-2 Liverpool. What do you think?
Oh, I think it'd be tighter. I think it'd be 2-1 Liverpool.
I think it's going to be a lot of goals.
I'm a little bit worried about the Manchester ref, but you know, obviously you mentioned that Juve documentary, and you know, it's very suspicious that there's a Manchester ref.
Who's the referee, and how is he from Manchester?
He's from the greater Manchester area, like Manchester United are.
Where is he from? Like Wigan or somewhere?
I have no idea.
Sure, fucking Liverpool is nearly greater Manchester. They're right alongside each other. He could be closer to Liverpool.
Merseyside. No. Liverpool isn't even part of England if you ask the people there.
Fucking Liverpool people are the biggest.
Sure, it's more Irish. It's more Irish than it is English.
Oh, he's a giant. Inside in the middle
was
of
it? 500,000 of them went over there, the nearest port, back when the British murdered all the Irish during the famine.
Look. Isn't it awful?
Allegedly.
Oh, allegedly? What? What's? Oh, allegedly the amount of people. Oh, yeah, okay, fair enough. I thought you were. I think we leave it at that, Graeme. We'll move on. We'll move on. What's your thoughts on Henry Shefflin taking over the Galway job?
I don't know.
I don't know. What's your thoughts on Stephen Kenny? Should he be sacked or stay?
He should stay, because who else are we going to get? Like, fucking Mick McCarthy's free again because he got fired again. But like, do we really want to go back there?
I don't know. Tony Pulis is available. He's free. Graeme, Chris Wilder, he's a good manager.
I don't know. Like, at least Kenny's, he's in there now. He's kind of altered his football a little bit to kind of suit the Irish players. He's not trying to play the kind of the same Man City football that he was trying to play.
In fairness, yeah.
He has adapted a little bit, and if we bring in a new manager now, are we just going back to square one? Yeah, I don't know. I'd say keep him on a while longer and see if he can kind of keep up this slight turnaround in fortunes that has come in recent weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. You didn't punch any DJs during the week or anything, no? Allegedly. We'll leave that. Yeah. Did we talk about him there? I don't know. Conor McGregor.
Oh, here actually, that gives me a good Morrissey. That gives me a...
Yeah, okay, go on. We leave it there, so everyone. Go on, Graeme, in the podcast with a good Morrissey.
Let me pull it up.
You're breaking the fourth wall here. What are you doing? Like, I think we should.
Okay.
I think we should do like an after show every podcast now and just like talk shit for 5 minutes after the podcast. I like this.
Okay, here we go. Hang the blessed DJ, because the music that they constantly play, it says nothing to me about my life.
Thanks, Conor. We'll see you next Tuesday or Sunday, probably. Good luck.